So why the Christendom fell, or it did decline, or is Christendom still there? Well, it should be answered first of all for what is Christendom, uh, and it's always said that the um, Christ started Christianity and Constantine started Christendom. Uh, it's more to it. I don't think so. I mean, yeah. As far as I think, Constantine did encourage Christianity because one thing is for sure. Constantine, so before Constantine, Christianity was an underground religion, and was a secret religion. It's what it was called. It was seemed to be as a secret religion of slaves. Uh, and afterwards you see after 400 years, or like by the time of Constantine, you see that things happen to be reversed, that um, the Christianity became the recognized religion. That time it became an official religion, it became a recognized religion. And I hope Constantine did uh, help to convert to the Catholic, to convert to the Christian faith. Although in my opinion, I guess it was through the Eastern Orthodox, especially through Eastern faith, or not Eastern faith. I think so it was the Arian heresy, which he was in support of. That God didn't had this dual nature of holy God and holy man, and was partially God and partially man, etc. Just like the Herculean nature. Anyway, so that was the thing. Constantine did recognize the Christianity as one of the religions. He didn't say it as an official religion. I guess it was Theodosius one who said that the Christianity will be the official religion of the Holy Roman Empire. And thereafter, I guess you see this rise of institutions and empires who have Christianity as the official religion. A majority of people in that kingdom, in that empire, are Christians. And and Christianity is present in the culture. The governmental decisions are taken by the name of Christ and with Christian values. So whatever the government does, it's based on biblical values. The institutions, the economic institutions, are run through biblical values. For quite many years, the Catholic Church had such a control on economy that Catholic Church did ban taking interest on loans. I mean, can you imagine? That was the power of Catholic Church once on the lives of people, that it could literally ban official taking of interest, in countries. And thanks to that ban, perhaps Jews became rich because they undertook this interest, giving loans in interest, and they were money lenders and they charge interest, etc. That to a certain extent also added to anti-Semitic feeling as well. However, this was the thing, that church had such a control on the lives of people. It decided what all books should be published and what all books should be read out in public, or let's say be allowed to be sold to the public, and what should not be. It in many cases solved the disputes between kingdoms. In many cases, kings were against Pope because Pope was exerting a political influence, and all political matters were there in this. The church was involving in political matters to a lot of extent. Uh, so there is this rise of so that was basically Christendom. And I would say Christendom is of in two categories, in two layers. One is political Christendom, and the second is social Christendom. Now, political Christendom, if you have a political Christendom, you automatically would have social Christendom, most probably. That means your political institutions are based on church, and are highly influenced by the church, and your society is in general is highly influenced by the church. Therefore, it is reflected in polity. There could be after especially the um, Reformation movement, and then a Reformation movement came in, and then I will explain this, and then communism, socialism, and then fascism, etc. came, and then this materialism came in, and out because of all those things, what happened? The countries started becoming secular in their legal lawmaking, etc., and in governance in general. And church did accept all those changes at the end. Um, and still, you see, for quite many years, and even today, there is social Christendom present in few countries, and there are very few countries, I should say. One, I guess, if I'm not wrong, it's Philippines. Then there would be few countries in Africa. I don't know much about those few countries, but I definitely assume that there would be few countries in Africa which have social Christendom at least. Then there is this one country in Europe, perhaps the only country in Europe, and that is Poland. I guess that's the only country in Europe where social Christendom is present. The majority of people are Catholics, and once Ireland was there, and I hope that the situation that is there in Ireland today may never happen to Poland. In fact, how Poland came from communism to religion, to the Catholic faith. Every other European country should come to Catholic faith in that manner. From whatever problems they are having right now, dominant force that they are having right now. But yeah, so that was one. So there is social Christendom and there is political Christendom. Now, how did it all change? First of all, I would say this changed by Protestant Reformation, and that's why many people argue for Reformation in Islam. And the fact is that Reformation people deny, especially some, even the most progressive Muslims don't want that there should be Reformation, because actually Reformation was Reformation of faith. It was not Reformation of morals or something like that. So, and Reformation of doctrinal faith, right? And we know that how much clash that could happen. So you are deciding, something like, is God, is God there in, is Jesus also God in Islam? If some particular sect in Islam says that, or something or the other of that sort. So clearly, we need to look at this, that Christianity, because of the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation, the okay, so here this it would be helpful here. First of all, Pope was actually, and the Church was in general, exerting influence of over secular powers, and by secular powers I mean king and the judiciary and the bureaucracy and princes, etc. And we already know that kings were actually fed up by this, um, and in many cases kings were living in their own fantasy that they are the supreme beings, and the laws of the church don't bind them. One example we could see in King Henry VIII, who didn't follow the law of divorce in the Roman Catholic Church, and therefore declared that his empire would be separated from the Roman Catholic Church. And the same thing kind of happened in many of the German princes, and in German. See, there have been quite many heresies that were there prevalent, right? This Protestant Reformation was the largest heresy, or the most powerful heresy. And why so many heresies? While so many heresies didn't prevail, against the Catholic Church. This Protestant heresy was successful in taking lives of so many millions of people physically and spiritually. The reason why that was the case because these Protestant reformers were supported by the state. And the reason why it was supported by the state because the secular powers of the state were frustrated with the political influence that the Roman Catholic Church was having on they were not given, perhaps so to speak, freedom, and in many cases church went beyond its capacity. Church transgressed its own powers. Sometimes church like especially by the church I mean members of the church, and they just committed evil things, and all those things are there, but mainly because that the state actually had control over supported in many states did support this Protestant Reformation, and that's the reason why Protestantism became so popular in Europe. And there then the clash between Catholics and Protestants. We know a lot about the 30 Years War, and not only 30 Years War, so many wars that happened, and finally it was decided that uh, there should be freedom of religion to all people, and in the Treaty of Westphalia, the freedom of religion to all people, and king could choose his own religion, whatever they want. Every king has a right to choose his or her religion, state religion, etc. I guess that is the time when 16th, 17th century, 15th century, or afterwards, when slowly and slowly because of the Protestant Reformation, one thing that happened was that you need to give freedom of religion. You need to give freedom to practice one's religion, and when that happens, especially when in a particular country when there are both Protestants and Catholics, government cannot actually survive with taking sides with one or the other for long, and that is the reason why government said, well, we are none. So we are not the Protestant and we are not the Catholics. We are somewhere in between. We are not at all related to this. Everyone can, so in the government, both Protestants as well as Catholics, and there is freedom of religion, and all those things that came with it. Later, what happened was that suddenly because of this, there was freedom to express any idea that you want to express, and there was this growth of Renaissance as well. Now, Renaissance was mainly about art and architecture, etc., but um, it did take a phase of anti-deism, not just atheism but anti-theism or anti-deism, in which you basically are against religion and against anything which is termed to be religious. In fact, for many years, especially in communism and before in communism, for many years, people, especially in bureaucracy, educated people, educated elites, bureaucracy, bureaucrats, and other intellectuals, scientists, etc. If they used to believe in God, people used to mock at them, right? So if there is an atheist bureaucrat and if there is a Christian bureaucrat, atheist bureaucrat would say, oh, you people still believe in all these nonsense, and so on and so forth. And this aggravated in the communist movement and in the movements that led to the communist movement in general. The atheistic notion, or at the anti-theistic notion, not just atheistic notion, anti-theistic notion of communism was not just exclusive to communism. It was spread in many movements, such as even fascism, the Hitler's fascism. Nazism hated religion in general. Nazism hated, we said that after Jews we would also come for the Christians, and this belief in God, etc. Hitler was agnostic or an atheist. Similarly, Mussolini and others who are these fascist people. So then what happened, this the Christendom died when you have secularism. So secularism was basically the death of political Christendom, and later in the upper echelons of the party, upper echelons of the bureaucracy in Europe, we had people who claim themselves to be higher men because they don't believe in all this nonsense which cannot be proved and so on and so forth. So that was their assumption. Now what happened afterwards was that these because of communist movement. Now why did communist movement spread? Well, because it gave an utopia, that every all the equality and all that stuff that Marx said, uh, it gave an utopia to the people. So it gave a rebellion form and kill people and all that thing. It's a very militant attitude. Sometimes this attitude that religions have of militancy in the sense that a political regime, having the Islamic State, having the Communist State, having this Christendom state, and establishing this particular Christian state, etc. Sometimes even I have those feeling, and that doesn't come from Christ. It's a materialistic and purely earthly feeling of ruling the world through Christian rod, or ruling the world through communist rod, or Muslim rod, etc. That thing was there in communism, so it spread widely in Europe, and people literally hated this kind of religious stuff, and they wanted to end this religious stuff. So uh, then there was anti-religious stuff going on in communism, um, and there is this anti-religious stuff going on in fascism, Nazism, etc. Finally, many things. Finally, there comes so clearly political by the 20th century, by the first half of the 20th century itself. The I would say the political Christendom was completely lost in Europe. Then coming to social Christendom, the social Christendom was lost in the second part of the 20th century, and that was lost due to first of all because of there was this mass mobilization due to political Christendom. Secondly, sexual revolution that happened around 1950s and 60s, etc., feminist revolution, etc. So that was also anti-theist, anti-religious, but mostly it was materialistic, materialistic lifestyle that people lived, and that's the reason why we lost social Christendom. uh, it was you do whatever you want, because you see at the end of the day what religion is to a person who wants to because Catholic faith or Christian faith in general teaches you to live a responsible life, not a carefree pleasure, giving pleasure every time, and luxuriant or something of that sort. It needs it forces you to live a responsible life. It forces you to fight against the desire for having sex every time, desire for having sex with everyone, whoever you want to have with it, etc. So all those morality was completely need to be distorted by the people, because at the end of the day people are like that. It's our sinful nature. So because of that, slowly and since there is nobody to punish you, and there is free, like, and in fact in many cases state encourages you to not be Christian, and further definitely state doesn't punish you for not being a Christian, and then there is this material wealth that is going on. Colleges where a place where and colleges are actually the place where many of these things happen, because you are separated from your parents, you're separated from your society. The campus in which you are living is basically a small society. It's a micro society, and it's a kind of society where it's all about pleasure, living life, pleasure. There is nobody to judge you, etc. So that was the reason why, and then once you, after 4 or 5 years, when you come with a life full of pleasure, having sex with anybody you want, lying down with anybody you want, drinking drugs and all those things, then you hardly see a responsible lifestyle afterwards. But in some cases you do, but then mostly you don't. So that is something that happened through the ages, and we are seeing the effect of that. And then there's this materialistic world. In many cases, alcoholism, in many cases pornography, etc. The dressing sense, in how the woman used to dress, all this led to sinful nature of human being, like humans, like Christians in Europe and in West in general. So because of that, social Christendom is not there. uh, Still, we don't need social Christendom, we don't need political Christendom, though both of them would help in promoting the cause of Christianity. I could hardly have imagined that if we didn't had political Christendom or social Christendom, how would the Latin Americas and the places where colonization had taken place, how would they be evangelized? It was hard for me. Similarly is the case with many countries in which evangelization took place because of colonizers going with missionaries as well. So it was not just colonizers, it was missionaries as well. So that was kind of an effect of political Christendom. We no longer have it. Similarly, we no longer have social Christendom, and that's one more issue. But still, evangelization did take place in the first 4 centuries of the Christianity and the church, and evangelization would take place anyhow. That would continue, and we already know that all this this was a very fantastic period when we had Christendom, because we would no longer have it. And in my opinion, times are coming in which you better go to cathedrals and you see the beauty of cathedrals now and pray in cathedrals, because time may come when all of them would be closed. People are many of the cathedrals are empty right now. Soon they would be closed, and perhaps destruction would come at them. You know so that was that the this is a glorious period of church, where church was able to tell to the world that this is who we are, so openly. In future this may reduce further, and we know what is revelation, second coming of Christ, etc.